good evening.
What's up? What's up,
What's
Saber
up?
Rattlers?
Yes, our Kyber Cave Productions family. How are you this evening? Or wherever you are at, wherever
That's
time
right, because
zone
it could
you
be
are
any
in.
time of the day on the planet.
Yeah,
Last week
exactly.
we
It
were
could be
just,
someone watching the upload and it's morning for them.
you know what? We could possibly have some new Egyptian watchers right now. So
Yeah.
it's
I doubt they'll
Assalamu
watch at 5 a.m. where it's that time right there right now, but maybe later. So
I want to say
yeah.
hello to Raf, Bat Mike, and our new friend Brent Wakefield. Brent was the one that I told you. I didn't realize it was him last week, but he was the one that said he was a fan of your video gaming.
Oh, hi, Brent. You said you couldn't remember the name of them at the time when you were telling me about it. So
I didn't make the association that it was this Brent that had tuned in.
This Brent. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Brent. I very very much appreciate it. I've taken the last 2 weeks off because I was in New Jersey for a week, and then I was like so jet lagged last week that I was like, no. I was very very jet lagged. Anyway, we have something. Van, I kind of mentioned this to him, but I'm not sure if he'll remember. There's a young man that I know who kind of wants to intern on our show. And he's going to be doing kind of an analytic gaming series. And he's given me his first video. He's made his own thumbnail. I'm just going to upload for him and stuff. And so he's gonna he'll tell you his name and everything, and you'll see his first video this week. So he's 16 years old. He's a very nice young man. So I hope you share some love to him when he has his first video come out. Yeah, so he's learning editing and all that kind of stuff. So
this is somebody from church, isn't it?
Maybe
you sound like such a church mom, and he's such a lovely young man.
You're not wrong. Yeah, he's a young man from church who likes our show, and he asked if he could do some work on it, and I said, let's talk about it. So he made kind of like an audition video, and I liked it, and so he made his first official video. And I said, right now it's an intern, so you're going to do like a series, and then we'll talk more about after your series to see what we're going to go from there. So
yeah,
so I think it's great. We're teaching. He's not child labor. Yes, you did. Okay. Anyway, so I hope you're all doing well this evening. But don't forget, we have other shows like Retro Alcove, and Aubri and I are working on the long-awaited New Order. Show as well. All right, but first,
wait.
I'm waiting.
I want to say too, I've been talking to my buddy Lynn. We have been talking about this Gen X-Men show, and that's just like there's just not enough energy behind it. I'm just not feeling right now. But you know what people have been talking about bringing back, and I'm thinking about trying to redo. I'd like to get some opinions here. Who would be ready for the return of Kyber Cave After Dark, but like a slightly reformatted version? And then I would have Lynn edit that as well. So that would not be your responsibility, Beth. But you could be a host if you wanted to.
Don't give me any more responsibility.
But you could have fun on the show if you want to, as opposed to having to do all the behind the
timing sometimes depends and stuff like that too. When we had After Dark originally, when I first came on the show, it was on Friday evenings, and I usually reserve that for my kids unless my kid is already passed out. And my kids have gotten better at staying up late, both of them. Yay! Yes. Like go to sleep at 11 p.m. please.
It would not be on Friday evenings because I'm like. Especially with this convention schedule, like Sundays. Oh, in fact, this is a good time to let you know or to remind you that for like the next 3 weeks, I have shows out of town, like out of town.
So, like, are you going to be doing the show from out of town, or are you meaning that you're going to be gone and I'll be on my own?
Yes, I think it's probably going to be the second. We might be able to figure out the first, but it would be like me in a truck on a camera somewhere. The next week, Kyber Cave will be in Ontario, California. I'm actually kind of excited about the show. It will take a second to talk about this. I'm actually, what's up? Say Wong. What's up, Say Wong? I'm excited about the show because it's going to be a first in the, as far as we can tell, a first in the Saber community. 2 Saber companies are going to be teaming up together. Kyber Cave and BYO are going to be teaming up together to do a booth. And it is, and this is actually going to be a great topic to talk to our guests tonight about, because, in some areas of the Saber industry, there's a little bit of cutthroatedness. In some areas, there's, more love and peace and happiness. And BYO and Kyber Cave want to promote the second, that we don't have to go at each other's throats necessarily to all have a piece of the pie. So
it's an unfortunate kind of side effect thing that happens with just so many people,
Yeah. And Jim will tell you, I've been doing this for 7 years now. Jim's been in the game for a while. There's been a lot of companies in the last couple of years that have jumped in because they think it's an easy thing, or they think it's, lightsabers, this is no big deal. They don't realize the customer service and all the work that goes in behind the
admin behind it.
Exactly. Or multiple people that you need.
It's the same thing with content creation too. When someone tries to dive into it, but to be successful and work at it, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has to happen too.
Exactly. It's not just this camera time here that we spend 1 hour a week. It's
I spend 3 hours a week editing the videos and getting the images ready for the segments and finding my assets and all that kind of stuff. So it's at least 3 hours for just Saber Rattle.
Exactly.
That's just for the editing portion.
Show that we do here. So that's why we appreciate everybody that comes on, and we appreciate you spreading the word. On that note, please, we need a little button thing that, like a little visual that pops up. Please like, subscribe, and post. The more people that know about Saber Rattle, the more.
Literally, now look at the bottom of the screen. Look at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yes, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
I think we're like 13 subscribers away.
We were 13 away from the next Saber giveaway.
That's right, 13 more subscribers, and we give away another Saber. So pass it along to all your friends. Let everybody know. And as the times get hard, support all your Saber companies out there, not just your favorites. Sometimes go check out a second one or support somebody else.
What is next on our docket?
Is this like Irish one now?
News. Shush. All right. Great shot, kid. Dude, perfect. Visits a galaxy far, far away. So if we've seen some cool, we've all seen some really cool videos before, people getting together and doing like really impossible trick shots. The ball that bounces off the back of several like pots and pans slides down the arm of a couch and then gets catapulted from something and lands in a little cup, right? Like those little trick shots that you see people do. Or like someone bouncing a basketball in their front yard off of the house and it rolls down and then bounces into the net. Like those are trick shots. And if you think about it, Luke's destruction of the Death Star, his little shot right there, that's like ultimate trick shot, like of all trick shots, Dude Perfect is one of the most well-known trick shot content creator group. And they go full on Star Wars in their recent video for May the 4th. So if you want to check out, I watched several minutes of it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good lengthy video. So it's not like a 5-minute video that you watch. They had a really good series on it. And so if you want to check it out, you can check out the article written by Brandon Winerty of StarWars.com. It is in the description, but of course, as always, I will have it in the chat in just a second for you.
Great shot, kid.
What do you think of trick shot videos, Van?
I think I love them. I think who doesn't love them? I get as mesmerized as watching flow segments. When I see that, I say, how did they do that? And then I will never have that skill.
There's always, there's most of the time trick shots aren't done like right off the bat. There's a whole section of like bloopers, if you will, leading up to it. But it's always like I've seen a lot of them get together. They're like physics students getting together to like figure out the physics of something.
Right,
and then they figure out their trick shot that way. All right. Next on the nerdy news is Natalie Portman on how she imagines Padmé Amidala could return to Star Wars. Now, she recently appeared on the One Show on the BBC, and during the interview, she gave thoughts on how she would think Padmé Amidala could return to the Star Wars universe. Like, would you want to see Portman return in that role, or how do you see the character returning? I think the only difficulty I would see with that is, even though Natalie Portman looks fantastic, she is older than she was when her character died.
She's not a teenager anymore.
No, she's not a teenager anymore. I'm going ahead and throw the link into the article from that. But yeah, I'm thinking like, how would they do that? Is it something that we would see? She's older now, so how would she come into a storyline when her character has gone and she looks older? But the thing is like, because it's been a long while, okay, since the prequels. Like Diego Luna playing Andor, isn't too far-fetched because it wasn't that long ago for Rogue One. So how would you see?
Well,
do you see a way?
They did the same thing with Hayden for Ahsoka series. They just kind of digitally de-aged him a bit.
Yeah, that'd be if it was like a one-off or two-off episode, I could see that being a possibility. But it wouldn't be able to be something regularly. But look what they did with Ewan McGregor, too. You know, he was much older looking, than his character. Of course, it was a little bit later, but it shouldn't have been like that much later. But yeah, his character was also not dead.
If you look at the timelines in Star Wars, and you look at like a lot of people have debated about like how fast like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen and Obi-Wan, how fast they aged. Their characters are much older, and it's only been like 21 years or something like that since the gap. So there are theories that it has to do with them not enough moisture on the planet. You just get old really fast on Tatooine.
And it's interesting. See, the thing with Natalie Portman's character is that's not what would be happening. Exactly. But anyway, so it'd be very interesting to see. If you want to check out the interview and stuff, I put the article in the link, and it's in the description as well if you're watching us after the live broadcast. Woo-hoo. That is your nerdy news. Each week we have James Kaiser, our producer for Flow the Show, brings us a flow every week. If you don't know what flow is, it's not just saber spinning, it's gloving, it's fire dancing, anything visually mesmerizing. Last week we had Sensei Strange with his like floating ball.
Yes.
That was really interesting. But this week is our very own James Kaiser, known as Darth Cephalus. If you'd like to check him out, his information is in the description. I will throw it in the chat, but please enjoy Darth Cephalus. that is your flow of the show, everyone.
Woo! I can't believe it's escaping my mind right now. Jim will help me when we come on, but like there's a term for when you make the lightsaber look like you're using the force. I can't believe like I use it
like levitation.
Levisaber.
Levisaber. Okay, I was like,
That's
I knew
right.
it was like, having to do with like levitation in the name of it.
Thank you.
I mean,
see, that's
for
how
his.
You're becoming in the subject of flow now. You were such a profound. You watch flow every week. You understand the nature of it, and you know.
That video on Darth Cephalus YouTube channel, he named it levitating dance cane, something like levitation dance cane, is what he called it. It's actually a cane that he's doing that with, not a saber itself.
Yes. I thought that was absolutely sick. I've never seen anybody like take their hat off and do the that part of the trick. That was a new one for me. That was super cool.
It's always a lot of fun to watch some of the levy sabers and like all the different ones that can levitate like that and look very interesting and fly around like that. Because as a kid, just like when you love Star Wars and you hold the saber in your hand at Kyber Cave booth, even as an adult, you hold it, you get that imagination that you're a Jedi kind of a feeling. When you watch someone levitating something as a kid, especially, you get that, oh gosh, that would be so cool. Like I could look like I was doing that,
Exactly.
Anyway, sir.
And who doesn't want to be a kid again? That's actually the best part of my job is seeing grown men turn into 7-year-olds.
That sounds very strange. I like physically just imagine a man like sinking down into shrinking down.
It happens. You can see their faces de-age. Hey, I want to take this time to acknowledge because I don't always acknowledge Mr. James Kaiser. We have had James was on before you were on, right, Mitz?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was here before I was.
I don't ever acknowledge how incredible he is. Like for those that don't know, look him up online. He is one of the OG flow artists in the lightsaber communities. He has worked with and taught so many other people who are now, incredible masters that you've seen in other TikTok videos and things like that. He is a respected OG. He was doing lightsaber flow contests for 12 years, long before anybody ever heard of this in the mainstream. Because it really wasn't until the pandemic that flow kind of blew up from the underground, primarily because during the pandemic, when everybody had to separate, it was something you could do with your lightsaber that you could do by yourself that didn't involve having to, have another partner involved. So I have absolutely loved the explosion of flow in all of its forms, but especially watching the lightsaber flow. And I do want to take the time to acknowledge that we are very fortunate that we have had the honor of having one of the top flow OGs as our producer on this show, this segment. Every time you see this, Metz goes behind and does the work to rearrange the music because we don't want to get in trouble with copyright. I mean, she does a lot of the, the pre-editing and the after editing, but James is the person who brings us the artists every week. So it's a combination dance between Metz and James.
He finds the artist and gives us the video, and then I edit with like different music, with someone the little animation that comes up and says their name, and then the closing out, like check them out type of thing. So
exactly
the end card.
And thank you as well, Metz, because a lot of times we watch these segments and we don't take into consideration the amount of work that goes behind making that segment look easy.
And it's Mother's Day.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I can't believe
the KCP mom.
I feel bad. I'm so very happy. Mother's Day, Metz.
Thank you. All right. Well, it is now time for our guest fan. Would you like to introduce?
I am very excited about our guest. Our guest is a gentleman that I love very much. This man is near and dear to my heart. I've known him for several years now, and in fact, God, it feels like every year we bring him back like once a year for a show. And it's like watching you ever see those movies where you time lapse somebody's life? If you go and watch every Jim episode, it'll just like you get to see him progressing and aging as a man. This guy has been in the Saber community for quite some time. He is beloved in his area, and I am excited to talk to him because I want to know how he is doing and how his business is growing. I can't remember if the last time we talked to him, I think he was about to get married, or I can't believe if he had.
He's nodding yes.
See, I have a terrible memory, but I remember little bits and pieces. So I am excited to find out how my friend's life has been and to learn more about Starforge.
Yeah, last time we spoke to him was a year ago.
Oh,
and you were on with Graveyard. I wasn't even on with that one.
Oh, that was Graveyard. Oh my goodness. Well, what episode are you looking at the chart right now? What episode?
Yeah, it was number 166.
166. And where are we at? 240?
233 is this one.
Woo! All right, with no further ado, please give it up for my man, Mr. Jim Moscatello. Moscatello. I said, I don't know what I said. I said Moscatello.
That's cool, man. It's cool. We got plenty of people that mispronounce my name. It's something I got used to a long time ago.
I'm sure you have heard much worse in your life.
It was Van's Adele Dazim moment.
Yes. Thank you. How you doing, brother?
I know, doing pretty good. Just trying to keep up with events and trying to get our online sales where I want them to be. But we upgraded our website again. Last year we added a whole bunch of stuff to it. This year we completely renovated the whole website.
Wow, it's like rebuilding a house, dude.
Well, what we did was for a birthday gift, my wife gave me the money to completely redo our entire website from the ground up. We found a new host company. We had a professional designer go through and actually design our entire website from the bottom up.
Wow.
So it is legitimately one of the biggest renovations we've had. And unfortunately, when you do something that big, you have to go back to ground zero and reestablish your entire community all over again.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see them come back. We're starting to see all of our people come back. We're starting to see everybody start being more active on our website. We've also increased the number of events we do. So it's kind of a catch-22 because the people that were active on the website were also going to our events and then ordering after. But now they meet us at more events, so they don't have to use the website as often.
Right. No. You know, it's really funny. I'm finding the same thing with Kyber Cave, especially the last like 5 or 6 shows. We're getting a lot of repeat business, but they're waiting until, because they know that we're going to come around eventually. They're waiting until we come around as opposed to going on the website. But at the same time, I'm also picking up people that didn't have money at the time of the show, and then like a week later they got their paycheck and then they order their saber after. So it's a mixed blessing. It's very difficult to balance all these balls in there at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're also finding new avenues and new marketing ideas. So my wife is big into the dark romance book talk scenarios. She goes online, she watches reviews and stuff on dark romance and keeps an eye on that market. And so we're also now, on top of doing saber giveaways, we're also doing book giveaways.
Really? Okay.
So we're trying to break into the new market, and the whole idea is that 99% of the wives and daughters and girlfriends who are getting these books may not always be able to get to these bookshops to get them. So boyfriends and husbands and sons are going to do it. So what do you reward those guys with?
Wow.
And the whole idea is that, well, we have the reward for them. You come in, you go on the website, you buy them a saber, and there's your reward for having them go and do book talk stuff. Bat Mike, what's up, buddy? Yeah, this Bat Mike is one of my favorite customers. He is consistently on my live streams chatting with me, and absolutely love him. We've also started doing a lot more live streams, random giveaways on our live streams almost every month. Most of them are just at the drop of a hat whenever I feel like doing a giveaway. We tried to do what you guys did and go by subscriber base, and we figured out, well, that wasn't really going for us because we were having too many subscribers come on to keep up with them. So now it's basically based on, well, we did pretty good this week for orders. Let's give away a lightsaber.
Nice.
And then at conventions, what we're doing now is we're finding the most popular guests at a convention and making a customized saber for them out of our catalog. We're getting custom sounds that I've been pulling off of everywhere and giving them to them. So we have the last convention we did that for was in April at Maine. It was, and the only reason we didn't do it in Vermont is because we've seen everyone from Vermont already.
How many times do you do a month?
It depends. We have a lot of one-day shows now. With the way the market is, doing a 2-day show, having to pay for hotel room, food, gas, all that stuff, it's not affordable anymore. And not, in our area, in order to do a show like that, you gotta drive at least 2.5-3 hours. But we're finding a lot of places are like the malls between Burlington and Syracuse are doing one-day shows, and like comic shops and stuff. So we're getting in on the one-day shows, and it's maybe $30-$40 in gas to get there and back. And I mean, we're doing a pretty good deal of business at these small one-day events. And most of the time it's during the weekends when there's not a lot of people out and about. So locals get out there more. The events that we do that are big, like we have our flagship event, NocoCon. And I say flagship because we sponsor it.
Oh, wow.
We have an arena set up next to our booth. We have the largest overall booth at the event. We have a Saber arena that's going to be manned by our favorite cosplayers from Annie's Creations, and they are Annie, her husband, and her son AJ. Annie and her husband are Bale and Skull and Shin Hati, and her son AJ is going to be a temple guard, and they're going to be refereeing our arena for us this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're rewarding them with, so the way we work is if you volunteer to help us at events, we don't have unfortunately, we don't have a large enough income for supportive staff. We gift you guys a saber, and we customize all the sounds to what y'all want. So they wanted, well, first of all, her son wanted a Temple Guard saber. Nexus doesn't have one, so we're going other sources to find one. Not to say what the other sources are.
I was gonna say, not only do we have access to Temple Guard sabers, we have access to the guy who invented the Temple Guard. He was just our guest. Not only did we have him on the show, but at VacaCon, but he could personally autograph them too.
I saw that. So what we're doing is we're talking with the design crew at Nexus, and if we find that the Temple Guard saber is not something on their slate to design, we're probably just going to order it from Kyber Cave because it's just going to be easier to do.
Right.
Because it unfortunately, if they don't design it and we have to order a minimum of 100 of them. And I mean, not for nothing, but the Temple Guard saber does not, up around here, there's 2 sabers people want, and one of them is not the Temple Guard. So it's weird.
What's even cool about our Temple Guard sabers, so when you buy them from our company TXQ, it comes in 2 boxes actually. One is for the sabers, the 2 sabers,
and one's for the staff extension between them.
Well, one is a staff extension, but there's also the one that breaks down in half. Like how you can make the saber go in half. And so I always thought it was peculiar that they gave you both sections when you ordered it. But when we had Carlos was our guest at VacaCon. When I was sitting at the booth with him, he explained to me that he had invented the Temple Guards, or he was given the job to make this type of character during, I think it was Clone Wars. And in Clone Wars, they had a straight staff. But when they went to like Rebels, that was when they had the bend in half staffs.
They had to figure out a way to do it.
Right. So I think it's cool that TXQ gives you, whether you're doing a Rebels clone Temple Guard or you're doing a Clone Wars Temple Guard, you get the set for both of them.
Well, That's what I love. And the other thing I love is the beauty of our stuff is that we won't have to worry about sounds because we've got that covered by a long shot.
Right.
So we have, at this point right now, I think of no other saber company. Not to say Kyber Cave isn't awesome, but I don't even think Kyber Cave is this nuts. No other saber company gives anywhere near the number of sound fonts as a standard as we do.
Right.
Today we passed 125.
Is that something that is a Saberforge thing or a Nexus thing?
That's a Starforge thing. So what ended up happening is we found out back in 2022, we found out that we are ridiculously close to in physical location to Reaver's Arsenal, like by about 6 hours.
Wow.
So we ended up getting together with Cameron from Reaver's Arsenal and going out to dinner and hang out with him for like a solid weekend. We let him come into our booth, and if he had custom stuff he wanted to sell, we let him sell. Afterwards, we traded a few old sabers from my personal collection for his whole sound font collection with the licensing that we could use to sell it.
Wow.
So that was the first collection. It was 3 years from then, which was about a week ago. He sent us an update to all of those sound fonts, and the update, I think, was 80-something sound fonts. I know the first 37, there are 3 sound fonts that are exclusive to us. One of them is our Massacre at the Temple sound font, which is obvious for all Star Wars fans.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the Tusken Slayer, which is our Massacre at the Temple sound font recategorized with a specific locked-in white blade and red flash, and for obvious reasons. And the second font is an open customized font. So the open customized font changes based on my mood and my personality that month. Right now, we changed it because we met with a whole bunch of the Has-Been Hotel cast last month in Maine, and we decided to switch it up. So before, that font was Full Metal Alchemist based, and it was meant to cause emotional damage to anyone who turned that sound font on. I don't think I need to tell you exactly what character it's based off of, but I think we all know. I'm not going to go into it. And we decided to change it. So we decided to change it to Nifty from Has-Been Hotel. So now every time you clash the saber, you either get the steel clash or you get Nifty saying stab, stab, stab.
Very appropriate.
Yep. And then our 125th font on our sabers is what I like to call the Nostalgia Font 9000.
Mm-hmm.
So we met a new vendor who we actually really like. He's a resin pouring. He makes his own cast molds and everything like that, and he pours a bunch of resin. And we really do like him a lot. And he asked for a very specific saber. We obviously gave him our usual discount, but told him that I'd go and customize the sound font for him. The sound font he asked for is very different. He wanted the clashes to be not the mama from Dinosaurs.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy as the soundtrack.
Wait, are you actually creating these sound fonts for customers?
Yep.
You're making them yourself and adding like a unique... So, like, each customer is getting, like, a unique sound font that nobody else on the planet has?
We do have that ability now. We actually have done that for most of the clients that we give. So most of the conventions we go to, we find new stuff to give them for sound fonts. For example, Jenna Frank. Originally, we had planned on 2022... I think it was 2022. It's either 2022 or 2023. We went, no, it's 2022. No, 2023, because it was the year before we got married. We went to Rhode Island Comic-Con. We met Jenna Frank, who, as a lot of Power Rangers fans know, is the daughter of Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. We gave her the saber that we intended to give her father.
Wow.
we modified the sounds on it to 100% for her father as a remembrance token. We gave her, I think it was something along the lines of his morph, the power on, the Dragon Zord flute for her font and title, the Go Green Ranger song, and then the power off was a bit longer than we normally would put on it, but at the same time, it felt like it needed to be there. It was one of those things where it was like, well, this is a 30-second power off, but I kind of feel like this is kind of needed. And we gave her that, and now we have her as a friend for pretty much life. Whenever we run into her at events, we typically get hugs. Because she's just that awesome of a person that she actually remembers a small company like us that did something nice for her once.
What was the power down sound? Was it like
it was something like, so it was the final goodbye as the Green Ranger. It was something along the lines of oh god, something like, my time as a ranger might be done, but it's not the powers that made me special, it was me who made the power special, or something like that.
Wow, that's cool.
It was like his final goodbye that made everyone like push to get him back for another ranger arc.
Yeah.
So I mean, we do try to find everything like that. Now we did that same thing with Hasbin. We do it with everyone. Panda Red has.
Are you doing that yourself, or do you hire somebody to do that?
I figured out how to do it myself, so I just do it myself.
That is amazing. Wait. I want to stop really quick, because for those of you out there that watch this show that have been thinking of buying your first lightsaber, but you're not really sure what to buy, and you hear all of these features, to have a custom-made sound font on your lightsaber, not only is that absolutely amazing that somebody even does that, but the fact that you're doing that individually for people just blows me away.
It doesn't honestly take me as long as it used to. Panda Reds was the very first one we did. And it was from our Warp Shadow that we still have a whole bunch of these. But I mean, his took me forever because his took me forever because his was the first.
That saber is exclusive to your company, is it not?
Yep.
Show that saber again. You got a story or anything behind that? Is that your first one, isn't it?
This is our first exclusive. The story is actually really simple. So I loved the Clone Wars series, but I loved Legends continuity a lot more than the Clone Wars series. I ate that stuff up like it was Cheetos. Legends continuity to me was really awesome, and I love the whole Quinlan Vos like Rogue Jedi fall, then redeem, and losing Ventress in the side stories that they've had, and I really did love it. So I was like, you know what? I love that character. A lot of people really do. Let's design one for him. But then I took it into like a completely different way with it within the length, because as you guys can see, the thing is longer, and it's basically, we designed it to be the ideal dueling saber and ideal for customization. So rather than having it be each side is only a 1-inch gap with both black parts, we went with the original design where only the front is visible and you have chrome backing so that you could design stuff on the back the way that the the flagship was.
Right.
And I really went with that, and I've been going with that. So we do have our own. So we did team up with a new shop, and actually we kind of got him started because he took all of my old 3D printers and refurbished them, and is now printing like madman to make a whole bunch of stuff for himself and for our shop. Now every saber that we sell gets a custom 3D printed mount for your walls. And he's also the guy that does stuff with this type, engraving and weathering and everything like that. And if at any point in time you see us where we're at an event where we've paid for the electricity or where we've been able to sneak electricity by bribing one of the security guards to turn the other way while we plug an extension cord in, you'll see sparks and stuff coming off of a few pieces behind us as he's grinding down parts.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that quite frequently. We figured out in our area how to wheel and deal with oh yeah, it's a great looking saber. And we also have figured out how to and this kind of feeds into the flow. We have a couple of them that we had someone come up with a way of doing levy sabers with it.
Wow. Yeah.
So we experimented quite a bit when we designed this and how to do varying things. But since the last few months, we've completely taken our shop in a completely new marketing, which we had to figure out very quickly.
Right.
I'm sure you guys have done the same thing.
Yes, we have had to change our attitudes or change what we're doing. I'm not ashamed to say when we go to conventions, I'm sure you run into some of the same things we do. We talked about a little bit before the show. We run into other shady lightsaber companies who have made practices because of things that they've done. You're now having to explain why you're not like that guy. You're a completely different company that sells a different type of product. We've had to also deal on the opposite end with lightsaber companies that are so big that they can bring in, they can buy up 4 stations and bring in nice, have 12 workers for them and have a nice arena and a beautiful presentation, where we do the best we can with what we have.
We've hit both aspects, and the one thing we figured out is that big lightsaber company, they might be buying more space and they might be having more people there, but their costs are gonna go up and the price is gonna skyrocket. Right. We have made it our goal. We only get enough space, other than NogoCon. That one we splurge on because they came to us. We didn't go to them. We love them. Mm-hmm. We loved their show the first year we did it, and they've come to us every year to be a sponsor for their show. So I'm not going to stop. As long as they keep coming to me, I'm not going to stop doing their show. Exactly. But we work with the 10x10 normally. We've figured out how to bring our size of our space requirements down a lot. We did in that video that you guys saw before, we had wooden platforms. Well, we invested in 5 or 6 of the new LED based platforms, which are about a quarter the size of the ones that we were using before, so we can fit a lot more on them.
Right.
Our build your own section is entirely encased in one container versus having like 5 or 6 toolboxes full of stuff. And then there's the replica issue. We'll still get in several replicas, but we've completely divested off of replicas for the time being. Right. And there's a simple reason for that. We are a company where the mission statement was very simple when we started. Bring sabers to people who can in a way that they can afford. We did not get into this business to charge a mortgage payment per saber.
Right.
When tariffs hit and we started seeing prices, some of our competition, and I don't even want to call them competition because we're friends with like 90% of the vendors out there that we come in contact with. Well, I say it's like 95%. The 5% is the one vendor that we would go volunteer to help other vendors to get rid of him.
Right.
And I'm not even going to say his name because it just gives him more presence than it deserves.
I want to ask you this though. I heard about this at a con that we went to, and we were absolutely amazed, and we were like, we were wondering if it was such and such. I'm going to do the same. I'm not, it's like Baltimore, he who shall not be named. But I had heard something along the lines of a vendor who was selling sabers, but you didn't actually get your saber. You had to wait for the saber to come in the mail. Is that a tactic that person does?
Yep. It's 100% a tactic that person does, and it's disgusting because he almost never sends them.
I've never heard of it. Okay, so with us, I do something similar where I give you a percentage. If I don't have the saber you want on the table, I give you a percentage off, but I have an invoice that goes with it, and I've never not completed a transaction.
Absolutely. We do the same thing. I will search our catalogs. I'll say, okay, give me like 10 seconds to calculate. I'll figure out what the absolute bare minimum price is. And I will look at the person and go, okay, do you want this with our stuff on it, or do you just want the saber in general? Because if it's our stuff, we're going to add it to our next resupply. I'm going to take your address down. I have a composite notebook where each con has its own page. Yeah. And anyone who orders from that event, I take their name, address, and phone number down, and I keep them fully up to date on everything that's going on with that order. Once I get it in, if they wanted it shipped directly to them, we ship it directly to them. I don't even bring it into the shop. I'll send it directly to them and take the hit on the cost. Right. But if they want our fonts on it, I bring it in, I update the fonts, and within like 48 hours of getting it in, it's packaged, it's sent out, and it's gone.
I was very interested, and I understand being a Saber company owner myself, everyone's got their ways of doing things. I'm not expecting you to divulge secrets, but this tariff obviously has been affecting a lot of people. And I would assume that it has been affecting your business as directly as it is affecting mine.
So we shifted market, as you know, our marketing shifts pretty much every time. When there's a market shift or a new model out that does really well, our marketing shifts to focus on that. With the tariffs coming out, we haven't focused on a particular model, but we came up with a marketing strategy to focus on what we're calling mimics. Now, D&D has mimics that can take the form or shape of any inanimate object. But perception checks in D&D, there's always something that's just not quite right. You've always got that one aspect where it's not quite the exact item. So I've actually got a couple with me. So we have the Mimic Annie. As you guys can see, it's got no switch. It's got no control box.
That's so funny. We're doing the same exact thing, except for we call ours lookalikes.
Yep. The difference between that and what we're doing is we convinced. Actually, we didn't have to really convince. We explained it to Darth Kyle, the guy who runs our company, our buddy who runs Order 66 Printing, and he came up with an entire. We make it an experience now at events, and even when we're shipping, we send a link to a virtual 6-sided mimic dice, and if you get a mimic, Kyle's 3D-printed custom mimic wall mounts that has the mouth and the tongue that comes out. And you get those included in your saber because your saber is officially a mimic. So we have several of those. We have Annie, Ahsoka, Kylo Ren, Luke, Obi-Wan. Like, we have a bunch. And then we have sabers that I don't know why they're popular, but they are. Dark Wolf designed this one a while back, and it became open to us to get. We call it the Harlequin for the obvious reasons. It's the Harlequin. But the one thing that we are doing that I think a lot of people are kind of respecting is we are taking most of our replicas that were on our website that we didn't keep a heavy stock in because at events we found it very difficult for people to really move the replicas, because obviously people don't go to Comic Cons with the ideal of spending $500-$600 on a pixel replica.
Right.
So we move them on our website to the background where no customer will be able to actually see the ones, because the one thing that we swore to our customers was we are not going to put a baselet replica saber up there if it hits $500, and we haven't. If the tariff meant that those sabers are going to hit 500 or more for baselet, we've pulled them back.
Yeah.
At events, it's a little different story. So the event that we're doing in June, the first weekend, we have so this year is technically, I started buying and collecting and basically building sabers in 2015. So this is my 10-year anniversary building sabers and not selling, but 10-year anniversary in the saber community. So we're going big on all of our giveaway sabers for our conventions. So this is the weekend giveaway saber for our event in NocoCon this year. It's an update from the original. So the original one was a little bulkier and had a lot more weight to it. This one I actually really like. We have a couple of them. So we got one for giveaway, one to sell. And I mean, that's what we're doing now, is we are, for the most part, going big in our 10th year anniversary of being involved in the saber community. The other thing I'm sure you guys you've noticed after going back and looking, I kind of dropped a hell of a lot of weight after 3 years.
Yes.
I was a pretty chubby looking dude 3 years ago, and I found my own style that works. Obviously, this has become iconic for me on stream. The Boston Scally cap has become kind of my thing.
I'm digging it.
I love it. It fits my attitude well, but I mean, at conventions, I mean, it's really a unique experience being handed, having a lightsaber given to you by, sold to you by a Jedi in a Scally cap. But I mean, that's kind of what we've been doing. Our conventions, we still do our build your own saber, which I'm a little perturbed because the first exposure we had with a certain someone, he experienced that, then he stole the idea.
Right.
And then I evolved it well beyond what he can do, because rather than showing up to events with just a couple of boxes of sabers to put on display, we're showing up with a mechanics box, a van full of lightsabers.
That is amazing. I honestly, I don't have the bandwidth to put together a build your own saber section at a convention, because I feel like that takes so much attention for that particular. Like, I know how good it is. I think it's a fantastic thing. When we had our storefront and we had the time to sit there and work with the customer, it was fantastic, and they loved that experience.
We figured out the science behind it. We don't do Profi, we don't do Golden Harvest, because the prices would be like $400 or $500, $300, $285 to $300 for Profi, and like $350 to $400 for Golden Harvest. So I'm like, let's just stick with Xenopixel V3 and Xeno RGB. That's it. That's all we're going to be building. Surprisingly, the one problem we have is we've run out of blades.
Right.
We buy blades, and we buy 20 blades extra for every order. So I don't know how we're running out of them. Every single order, we buy all of our sabers, all of our all of our extra cores, our blades to go with the extra cores, and then we go 20 blades on top of those extra cores, and somehow we're still running out of blades. And I don't know what it is. I feel like when Kyle comes up and helps, he squirrels away blades and saber cores, because we have 3 big events other than NocoCon coming up this year. We're doing Granite State Comic Con in New Hampshire, which is gonna be freaking sweet. That's in September. Retro Game Con in October, And then we're planning to do Bangor, Maine in November. And I'm telling you, Bangor, Maine is huge. Getting there is a pain in the ass.
Wow. I'm very interested in the con circuit there, especially where you're at, because okay, I feel like it's a bit of a mixed blessing here where I'm at in California. We literally have, I mean, if you're willing to drive 6 hours to Southern California, we literally have 2 to 3 shows every single weekend for about 9 months out of the year. 10
I
months
wish we had that.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, it's almost an oversaturation of shows because people are now spending less money at each show. They feel like they've seen the same thing over and over again. But we have more like we'll have a Transformer show, or specifically we have, and in the Bay Area, because this is obviously where George Lucas is at, we have a lot of Star Wars is huge in this area. So you'll usually find 3 or 4 Star Wars themed conventions running throughout the year in this area.
So we have several events that we get invited to that we actually have to turn down. Not because we don't want to go, because the events are scheduled on dates either shortly after events that we're already at or before. And we can't dip, it's like I've had this discussion with, so the original Star Wars Trek is in Ticonderoga, New York. They do this thing called Ticonderoga, and we get invited every year. Mm-hmm. The owner of the place really wants us to go, and I'm like, you understand what we sell. Mm-hmm. You understand there's an animosity there for fans that I don't particularly want to go near. But I want the money. So, it's a 2-day event. It's in Ticonderoga. So I could literally drive down. It's, I think, maybe 4 or 5 exits down the Northway from where we are. Maybe 10. But, I mean, it's not terribly far. You get on the Northway, you hit 70, and you just drive down there and then drive back. It's a good show. They get like William Shatner. They had Leonard Nimoy when he was alive. They have the original cast, like everyone coming to visit for the weekend. It's a lot of fun. I want to go. They keep planning the show when I'm in when I'm in Hudson Valley for Mid-Hudson Comic Con, or when I'm in Clayton, New York for AnchorCon. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to give you my schedule. This is the times that I'm not available. You keep emailing me. You want me to do this. You really want me. Here's the dates. Well, and I've done it several times. I'm like, here are the dates. Plan the show around one of these non-date weekends, and we're good.
Yeah, no, we've done the last 3. Well, we've done a lot more than that. We've done, I think, the last 6 or 7 weekends in a row we've had a show. But this has been my first day off, because most of the shows we've been doing have been 2-day shows, or we'll have a Saturday and a Sunday. So this has been the first day that we had a Saturday show, but not a Sunday show. But next weekend, we're driving 6.5 hours to Ontario. The weekend after that will be another 7 hours to LA. Then the weekend after that will be another 7 hours to Oregon. And then finally we get a break again.
Wait, you get days off?
Yeah. Days off.
Wait, when did this happen? We're business owners. That doesn't happen. I come home from a 9 to 5, and I still have 4.5 hours of work every night.
Exactly. The work is never quite done. It's very, very difficult to have for me. I don't know. I wish we kind of had like our own like Saber owner or Saber community business owner like therapy group or something. Like I just don't know.
It would be difficult to arrange that because unlike you and me, not everybody gets along, and it's a real shame.
Right.
I mean, I got to admit, we work together with there's a bunch of Saber owners that I've been trying to coordinate with. Hooked on Sabers, we met them a few events, and I'd love to work more closely with them. Those guys rock. they've come to a few events that I've been established in for a couple of years, and it's like, oh, cool. Guys didn't tell us you were going to be here, but that's awesome. And then we go out to dinner, and I'm like, so how'd you guys do today? And they're like, well, it's really difficult with your crowd already being so into your stuff. I'm like, yeah, you're going to have that. You should have asked for a booth closer to us. That way we could have kind of transitioned people to you guys.
Right.
And then, we've got like Brandon Dale, who runs a certain group. I've been trying to get him down from Canada to come and hang out at our booth and just kind of see what our vendor stuff is like, because he's not too far over the border from where we are when we're doing all of our events in Western New York. And I'm like, dude, you need to come down. He's like, if I had time, I would. I'm like, you know what? Wait 4 years, then come down.
Right.
But I mean, we try to work with as many Mystic Knights. We try to work with them. Mystic Knights Army. We refer people to them all the time. My wife, for our wedding, I got her a set of the Ahsoka Tano katana and Tonto blades from Mystic Knights. They're full metal blades. Dude, she freaking loves those. The best wedding gift I could have ever gotten her. And he did an amazing job. We refer people to them all the time. They are by far, Tim Stone is by far a true artist with that. Not saying that I'm, working on a Mystic Knights of Tiernan sound font for him or anything, but kind of.
Yeah.
Tim, if you're watching, I'm still working on finding a clean version of that music, because that show is from the early 2000s, and finding that soundtrack is not fun. But I mean, that's kind of what I've been doing so far. Creating sound fonts. We have a whole Swashbuckler sound font coming, which is literally going to be a set of sounds with that this is me personally. I don't know if anybody else has got this notion, but I personally have this thing against clash noises, the hum, everything taking away from the music playing when I turn my Sabers theme song tracks on.
Right.
So I've basically said, you know what? We're going to remove the hum. I'm going to remove the clash, or I'm going to tone the clash down so much that you can't hear it. And then I'm going to take the best soundtracks for sword fighting from the last 60 years and just throw it on as the track. And I'm going to have, all sorts of different fonts for it, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Personally, my favorite is Princess Bride, so that's definitely that's the icon, and not the whole thing, but the iconic Princess Bride fight between Carrie Elwes and I forget the actor who played Inigo Montoya, but the iconic fight between those two specifically.
There's something I must tell you. I am not left-handed.
Yeah. I mean, I love the soundtracks, and I've had a lot of requests to add them to Sabers. I've done it several times for people, and I'm very irritated by the sounds of the Saber getting in the way of the soundtrack, and people are happy with that. But I'm like, I feel like we could be a lot more distracting to people by playing the music and not hearing the Saber sounds.
Right.
We got into so last 2 years ago, we had Ludo Sport as our ring runner at NocoCon in 2023. And Ludo Sport kind of bugged the crap out of me. Not so much like what they were doing, but the fact that, yes, they were there to run a ring, but also that they were recommending another company in a ring that was paid. They got in for free in a ring that was paid for by and sponsored by a company that's like right next to them.
Right. Yeah.
So we turned on like one of my friends has a Golden Harvest saber, and he is constantly one of the most obnoxiously annoying fencers I've ever met. Not in how he fences, but in what sound font he fences with.
Huh.
Are you familiar with Nyan Cat?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he turns the music on for that. I'm convinced he doesn't hear it. But he turned it on and took the person who the main guy who runs that school on Saturday, he took him right to class with it turned on, to the point where we didn't see the guy pretty much all Sunday. I don't know if he couldn't make it or whatever, but we didn't see him all Sunday. So I'm like, well, if that one soundtrack was annoying enough that he threw somebody off his game, what would happen if we threw a bunch of other soundtracks on that are specifically for fencing?
Right.
No clashes, no lockups, no blaster defects, none of that. Just turn the saber on and it's just able to play the soundtrack and that's it. And we put it on as a track instead of a hum or on anything like that. So that way, if it strikes something, it doesn't affect the actual saber. Mm-hmm. It's literally just, well, this is what we've got.
Baby Shark.
Yeah,
I think that will distract people.
Yeah, so we're gonna do probably 5 to 10 sound fonts with that. We're gonna start with, like I said, Princess Bride, Zorro, Pirates of the Caribbean, specifically the Crossing Blades track from the first one, because I feel like that's the best one. And a couple of other soundtracks, including He-Man. We can't forget He-Man, Masters of the Universe from 1987. The Dolph Lundgren movie. We can't forget that, especially since they're rebooting that movie.
Oh, wow. I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I'm going way back.
Hey,
but yeah, Jim, I mean, that's kind of
way back. We're getting ready to close out here in the next few minutes. I want to talk about, I think it's absolutely amazing that you do custom sound fonts on people's sabers. For those of you that are out there in the market, of course, I would never steer you away from Kyber Cave. But if you want some custom sound effects, that is something that you can't get from just about any other dealer. Now, I will say there are other companies, for example, Theory Saber, where they have packages of sound fonts that they've pre-bought that they will load onto your saber. But that by no means is the same thing as what this man does. This man creates custom sound effects and custom sound fonts that you will be the only one that has it. I find that absolutely amazing. So if that is something that's important to you, please make sure to check out Starforge Sabers and talk to my man Jim right here. Jim, What do you want to let us know? What do you got coming up? What's on your mind? What is in the cards for Starforge for this year?
So we actually did meet up with a very popular cosplayer in Rhode Island, and he followed us right along in our company, and then he met us up again in Massachusetts. We are actually looking at doing a custom blade Daywalker saber as our next exclusive.
Oh, wow.
So we have 3 or 4 on the bench. Daywalker is definitely one of the top ones. There's a couple of them. I'm just going to say Hashira Sabers are definitely going to be up there. And Zaraki is definitely going to be on the design board.
Oh, wow.
We've already got our quotes. We know we need to hit. So if you guys want to see it, definitely head on over. The more people that buy from us, the closer we are to that goal. We have a goal to make the Kenpachi Zaraki saber happen, as well as the Hashira saber. We have 2 separate goals we have to meet for that one, which is kind of annoying, but we have to design. We have 8 Hashira that we're doing. We're starting with 3 of them, and we are only doing 100 of the Subas for each one. Oh, so wow. We are going to be doing them as a collection. Each one of them is going to have be a numbered certificated Suba collection from 1 to 100. for each of the Demon Slayer Hashira. And we're only going to do one run of each.
And breaking into the anime community too, especially with these sabers, is absolutely amazing. That is something that I don't know of any other saber company that's doing. So I'm excited to see what you come up with, my friend.
We've already got our designs for them. You can thank my wife and Kyle from Order 66 Printing for coming up with the idea, because they both kind of steered me in that direction, and we kind of just went from there, figuring out what we have to do. So the Subas are going to be all different. The handle of the saber is going to be basically the same. You're going to get your choice of one of 3 Subas for every one of the sabers. And then in order to collect all the Subas, you have to buy each of the Subas separately. This is the idea that we decided to go with. And honestly, I kind of like the idea of the fact that all 3 of that one handle will be an extension of about 8 different handles once we're done. We've got, I think, fire. We've got the Tanjiro, fire, and I forget the third one that we're working on coming out first. I think it's Tanjiro, fire, and water coming out first.
Wow.
But,
when should we expect to see these?
Honestly, hopefully within the next year. I'm still trying to get funding for them. Unfortunately, funding is few and far between. We've been forced to kind of cut back on what we're getting as far as custom saber designs are going, because
I understand. We have a series that we're trying to launch, and I have everything ready for number 2. I just need to get more sales going through to generate the deposit that I need to put, because our company does the same thing. You have to do a minimum of 100 sabers.
Yeah, same. Well, here's the thing. We have to do a minimum of 100 sabers, but we have to do all 100 Subas for the other 2 Subas to go on.
Right.
So in order to do the full amount, we have to have the whole amount for the 200 Subas for different designs, and then the 100 sabers.
Right.
So, we're looking at a good amount. I'm just going to say that. I can't give a solid number right now, because each of the Subas is a different design. So we're trying to figure out, would it be easier to design them so the Subas screw in or attach to the blade?
Right.
So the way we're working at is we're kind of looking at, and I hate to be the one to say we took inspiration from this, but we watched, my wife had her shoulder surgery not too long ago, and we were binge watching stuff the week that she was recovered and I wasn't able to go to work because I was staying with her. We binge watched most of Power Rangers, and I'm like, Power Rangers Samurai have the discs that slip over their blades.
Right.
And that's how they did their Subas. I wonder if we could use that and just secure the Subas right to the blades, rather than securing the Subas to the saber itself. And we were kind of discussing that. I'm like, it might be a good idea, because then we don't need the Subas to be threaded at all. We just need someone to create them with a 1-inch hole in the center and slide them over.
Right.
So we were talking, and it might be less expensive, because then there's no thread cutting.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of where we are. But what we would end up having to do is we'd end up having to create a saber where the Subas themselves would be sitting on top of the saber, hooked to the blade, and the saber was itself just a standard katana wrap with no actual saber on it. Like with no actual Suba on top of it.
Engineering issues to be thought through.
Not really engineering issues, decisions to be made. Honestly, I like both ideas, but one idea is distinctly less expensive than the other idea.
Right.
And it makes more sense to collect the Subas if you attach them to a blade versus attaching them to the actual saber handle, because then if you don't like if you want to swap it out, it's not so much swapping out the saber. You can buy a blade from us for $20 and swap them out and keep them hooked to the same blade.
Right.
If it's baselit. If it's pixel, it's like you can buy an $80 pixel blade and keep the things attached to this one blade right where the saber connects, and have that be the Sun Harashira and have the Fire Harashira blade be different. And I mean, that's kind of the idea we're working with, is only running 100 Subas, but having those same generic handles for every single one of them.
Right. Wow. Yes. Well, I am looking forward to seeing what those look like. I am sure you will get it done. Things are tough right now, but I think you have the right attitude, giving customers what they want and taking care of your customers on a personal level. I absolutely love that you're doing that. Jim, it has been,
We try.
Sorry. Well, you are accomplishing it, my friend. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you tonight. I'm excited to get to talk to you and see that that you are doing. You look fantastic, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Obviously, marriage suits you well.
Oh yeah. She don't let me get away with a damn thing.
Well, it's working for you. All right, my man.
I love it. Have a good night, guys.
I will talk to you in another year.
Sounds good. Don't be a stranger, guys. Head on over to SF Sabers and check us out.
That's right. sfsabers.com. All right. Have a good evening. And Mezzo, roll that.
Nice.
That man makes custom saber fonts.
I know. You were like, what? I'm all itchy.
Lots of people who don't know, but for people that understand the work, that's what our buddy Aaron, when I met Aaron, that's how I met him, was because I fell in love with his Scott Pilgrim sound font. And I had to have it, and we interviewed him, and now he's our brother and our host, and the rest is history.
Yep. I'm all itchy. I'm sunburned.
Oy.
My son's last soccer game was this weekend, and I'm wearing my I haven't worn it yet. Can you tell who that is?
I can't see mine. No.
You old man.
What? I don't have. Is it?
It's Ahsoka.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's Ahsoka, guys. That's not the guess that character segment. Anyway, it's just like it's bothering me because I'm wearing the necklace on the sunburn.
On the sunburn. We'll go Ahsoka. Anyway. We just got new Ahsoka pins in for Kyber Cave.
Ooh, she's like my second favorite character.
Oh, I'll give you an Ahsoka pin.
Yay! My first favorite is Andor. That's my favorite.
Oh wow. Oh, Cassian Andor is your favorite?
Yeah, I love Diego Luna.
Oh.
Yeah, he's adorable. I love him. And I cried my eyes out at the end of Rogue One. I bawled my eyes out at the end of Rogue One. All right, guys.
Rogue One is my favorite of the Disney movies.
I'd probably agree with that one. That is probably my favorite too. For it. So, all right. We have guess that character coming up, guys. Oh, who's that?
Okay.
Who is this? Put it in the comments. Who is this? Van's gonna get it wrong.
Am I?
You are wrong.
I am wrong?
Yes.
No way.
You're wrong. I think it's a misleading silhouette.
Are those tentacles instead of pieces of hair?
No, it's hair. It's hair.
Misleading is it? That's so funny. Is it either of those? Either Bat Bikes or mine?
Okay, hold on. It is not Bat Mike's. It is not yours. All right, do you guys give up?
I think I'm gonna have to. Okay.
Anakin's mom. Batmagna is not Anakin's mom. It's gonna throw you all off big time. You know who this is? It's Galen Erso.
Oh, Galen!
Galen Erso was a. Hold on, the music's really, really loud. Let me turn it down a little bit more. Okay.
That's Jen Erso's daddy.
Yes, this is Jen Erso's father. He was a human male scientist and leading galactic authority on crystallography and energy enrichment, attempting to send word of something to the I can't remember what it was, Alliance to restore the Republic. Erso enlisted the help of Imperial cargo pilot Bodhi Rook, who eventually got the message to Guerrera, who we know I actually did him for guest that character last week.
Yes.
When he was captured by Guerrera's partisans, the message was eventually seen by Jin, his daughter, who had been rescued from Imperial prison by Wabani by the rebellion in an attempt to get close to Guerrera. A rebel force, including Erso, that was captained by Cassian Andor, traveled to Edu? I don't know how to pronounce that one. I forgot. Where Krennic, having learned of Erso's deception, confronted him and his team. Erso admitted to his deception, but then was mortally wounded by bombs dropped by the Alliance's Blue Squadron. Erso lay dying as Jin finally reunited with him, and he died in the arms of his daughter, Jin.
Such a sad moment.
That was a very sad moment. And if you guys did not know, this actor is Mads Mikkelsen. His brother Lars plays Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Ahsoka series.
Oh wow! I didn't realize.
So brothers have both appeared now in Star Wars universe, and so they're Star Wars characters. Unfortunately, Mads is gone, but we should see more of Grand Admiral Thrawn sometime soon.
Yeah.
His makeup probably wasn't as extensive for Galen.
Okay, that was a good one. I'm gonna give you that one. That was a good one. You.
It's the hair. The hair threw you all off big time.
Yes.
Who is this?
Oh my God! Is that Will Ferrell in Elf? Let's see.
Who's Van gonna guess?
See, I'm feeling like those are either ears or bug eyes. Like an alien life form or someone with big ears.
Okay.
What do you
That's
guys
a
think
thought.
about it?
That's a thought.
Let me see. Wait, hold on. This is gonna be wrong, I'm sure, but get it? No. Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
No.
Oh. Say
Who do y'all think it is? Who do y'all think it is?
I'm so surprised. Say
anybody else? I know hasn't popped in there to give his 2 cents on who he thinks.
Bueller. I don't know. This one's got me.
All right, guys. This one is General Hux.
Oh, I was right about
that.
General Hux.
Yeah, it's big ears. He's also got that hat kind of throwing you off. So Armitage Hux was a human male who served as a general in the military forces of the First Order during the New Republic era. Ren's ascension to the rank of Supreme Leader diminished his influence over the First Order. Though he served on the First Order Supreme Council alongside other members of the First Order High Command, Hux had little independent authority without supervision and was made to serve under Allegiant General Enric Pride aboard his flagship, the Steadfast. Disillusioned with his place in Ren's regime, he supplied the resistance with information about the Sith's internal fleet, the Final Order on Exegol, determined to see his rival lose the war. Ultimately, however, Pride discovered Hux's role as a double agent and summarily executed Hux for treason.
Yeah.
So, bummer for Hux.
That was a good one. That threw me off.
That's the whole point sometimes. I can't make it too easy.
Right. I'll give you credit for that one.
Yeah.
Good job. Yay. Good guesses,
Yay.
people. Although, we didn't get it. We were not correct. All right. So I wish I could be cool and tell you I knew what fantastic guests we will have on the show next week. All I do know is that I've messaged out several people who had already said that they had agreed to be on the show. and some people were just trying to line up the dates. I've spoken a couple of times to the husband of Kathleen Hurley's, who is Dora the Explorer. So we're just trying to get dates worked out for her. An interesting one that emailed me was Zach Hoffman, who I met in Sacramento. He was the voice of the character Zartan from the G.I. Joe cartoons way back in the 80s. And Zartan was actually one of my personal favorite characters. So I was really excited to get to meet him. We have a good friend that I met, Omar, who is the chauffeur to the stars. So for the last 15, 20 years, he's been picking up stars at the airport and dropping them off to their hotels before conventions. So he gets to meet lots of cool people, and we'll get to hear some of his stories too. So I've got exciting people in the works. We have somebody exciting every week. Always something fun to look forward to. Although this week, I cannot tell you who it is next week.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, if you want to know, there are several ways to support us. You can do YouTube Super Chats, which is like a tip live on the stream. You can just watch our shows. I mean, that helps as always. So thank you so much for that. We have patreon.com/patreon.com /Kyber K Productions. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. Each tier, higher and higher up, has more and more perks. And so make sure to check those out. And you can go to kybercave.com and buy a saber from that dude right there. He's not actually here. This is a wall, the window.
We're in different towns.
Yes. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this week, and we will see you next week with our guest to be announced.
Yes.
You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll catch you later. Bye.